Hello and welcome, folks. Pozzum here, bringing you a triple threat Extreme Rules match for the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Making his way down to the ring first, the champion, Batista. Batista won this championship in the Elimination Chamber, taking it away from Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He was one of the last men to enter the ring from that Elimination Chamber. A lucky draw and some skill won him the day. This is his first title defense here with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Will he be able to defend against both attackers, Chris Jericho and Hollywood Hulk Hogan? And now, the first challenger, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the former champion. Hollywood Hulk Hogan made his way into the championship scene through one of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Royal Rumbles. He eliminated several competitors and lasted an extremely long time in that Royal Rumble, and went on to the initial Fatal 4-Way to crown our inaugural champion. He defeated the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Alberto Del Rio to win that championship. Unfortunately, a poor draw of the Elimination Chamber resulted in him being in the ring for the entire matchup. When the other competitors took a bit more time off inside those pods, he expended enough energy to be passed out before Batista could pin him and the other competitors to win that championship. This is his rematch here tonight, but it is tainted a little bit by a third competitor in this matchup, who will be making his way down to the ring next. And the final competitor for this matchup, Y2J Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho made his way into this match somewhat forcefully. He had a random match against Batista and was able to come out victorious. When a man beats the champ, he deserves a title shot. And that is how he got here tonight. He injected himself into Hollywood Hogan's rematch clause and now has a triple threat match to go up with. As we see him slowly make his way down to the ring, Chris Jericho, the first undisputed champion, uniting the heavyweight and WWE championships for the first time. Batista now holds both titles independently. Chris Jericho, when he held the title, it was remolded into a single unified championship. But now Batista carries both gold belts with him. Both big gold at WCW and the iconic WWE Championship. Will Jericho be able to take back the titles tonight? And here we go. Chris Jericho and Hogan in the middle of these competitors. As you see a suplex by Jericho, the first move out of the gate onto the legend Hollywood Hulk Hogan. as you see strikes coming in from Jericho and Batista temporarily working together against the legend Hulk Hogan, the leader of NWO, as we see a huge slam on the mat by Batista, as now Jericho going after Batista, but it seems like a crossface chicken wing. He's going to take him down onto the mat now. A great submission wrestler is Chris Jericho, claiming to have over 1,000 moves, in fact saying that he has 1,004 moves. As all three men get tied up in the middle of this ring together, all three of them looking for their shots against each other. Double team maneuver here, double DDT onto Hulk Hogan by Batista and Jericho. So you see big strikes from Batista. And now Batista going to get whipped around the ring. Nice counter by Batista to take down Hogan. And now he's going to do a bit of a couple of strikes to the face of Hogan. Not quite a Louis press, as Louis would jump into the attack. There's a couple of big strikes coming in onto Hogan, but now Jericho seeming to be in the middle of this as we get a double gutbuster by Batista and Hulk Hogan. Batista already looking a bit tired after that double team maneuver, and Hogan looking very strong now, having Jericho in the corner by an electric chair coming in by Mr. Batista. Hogan able to push Batista away and get himself back to a vertical base, as we get Jericho now with that Russian leg sweep, taking him down. Big shot, dodged out of the way by Jericho as he whips Hogan around the ring, and a nice takedown there. Looks like a dodge out of the way there, pushing the arm away of Batista as he gets a suplex now onto Batista. Jericho looking very strong in the beginnings of this matchup, as we see Batista getting knocked around that ropes. Nice atomic drop there. Classic move by Hogan, and the classic elbow drop. You see now Batista taking his shot to slam Hogan down from that huge height. Batista very tall, and looks like Batista is going to be the first man to go for a weapon here. And he goes for a ladder as he brings a ladder into the ring. It almost struck both competitors as we get a Russian leg sweep. Batista pulling that ladder out of the way, just barely saving Jericho, as Batista now attacks Hulk Hogan with that giant ladder. Hogan able to roll out of the way there, and Hogan able to grab that ladder away from Batista and slam Batista in the face. Jericho now with control of the ladder, temporarily at least, as he tries to strike Hogan. Hogan able to grab it away from Jericho. All these competitors, belly-to-belly suplex, and it almost looked like a huge elbow to the back of Hogan, as it looked like Hogan's going for a comeback maneuver here, as we see a side suplex by Jericho, as we see a big clothesline and a counter. No, Hulk is Hogan up here. This is a classic comeback by Hulk Hogan. His points to Jericho, and a couple of another big shot taking Hulk Hogan down as he did not successfully Hulk up, and Jericho able to counter that comeback as Batista now with giant strikes with that ladder. Jericho seems to be partial to that ladder and could not find another one underneath that ring. Jericho now going to look under perhaps another corner. No, going for the steel steps. Jericho taking his time outside the ring as Batista has done a significant amount of damage now to Hulk Hogan. Big scoop slam by Hulk Hogan, however, changes the tide for him. Headlock applied, couple of elbows, headlock applied by Jericho. Nice sidewalk backbreaker by Jericho. As we get another sweep coming in by Hogan, just barely missing that ladder that seems to be sinking into the ring somewhat, as Hogan now picks up that ladder, going to attack Jericho with it. After he got attacked several times, huge ladder right to the face of Jericho, but those steel steps coming from behind as he slams it down on both competitors. Batista going to try and use those steel steps that are in the middle of the ring perhaps, but Hogan countering. As you see a nice sweep coming in again away from the stairs. Hogan a bit cleaner than these other opponents, at least when he was in the WWE. His Hollywood Hulk Hogan attire usually designates he's a bit more dirty. As we see a pin here coming in from Batista, first man trying to retain his championship here as he's the first man to go for a pinfall in this matchup. Headlock applied by Jericho as he gets countered into a leg sweep here by Batista. Hogan picking up Jericho. Jericho looking quite dazed, but able to counter to take Hogan down to the mat. Nice drop kick by Jericho, sending Batista down to the mat. And it looks like his elbow may have hit those steel steps that are precariously in the center of this ring. That's a bit of a wake-up slap there by Hogan. Gets a big combination of shots here by Jericho. Looks for a powerbomb here. Giant powerbomb. Lifting Hogan again for a second one. And a third one. The immense strength of Jericho and that small body as Batista going to interrupt this pinfall by Jericho as he wants to retain his championship. Jericho perhaps looking to the outside once again, but Batista looking for a pin here. Jericho interrupting before he goes out to get that weapon that he was looking for. He's back to the outside once again. Jericho looking quite tired. All these competitors probably a bit tired at this point as you see a sledgehammer coming out by Jericho. Jericho undoubtedly learning how to use that from his rivalry with Triple H. And now Jericho at the announce table here, taking out our monitors as he prepares the table for some sort of mindset to try and get someone in that table. But Batista going for a pin in the middle of this ring here. Only a 1 count there as Hogan kicks out. As it looks like Jericho was probably looking for a springboard off that ropes. But he gets pulled back in the middle of the ring by Batista and a couple of big shots to the face here. Now as he got a mount onto Jericho. Picking up Jericho now, but Hogan taking the shot and bringing him back down to the mat. Not quite on that sledgehammer. Batista with a quick pin 1. Only a 1 count as Hogan interrupts. Big shots coming in by a couple competitors. It looks like a choke. Gorilla press there by Batista. Very impressive as he goes into a slam. As he goes for a pin on Hogan. Jericho still very conscious here in the middle of the ring. Big shot by Batista pushing away Jericho. But Jericho going for the lion tamer here. Trying to turn him over. He's got Batista in the center of this ring. Hogan probably going to interrupt here. Not able to get a proper interruption. Did not miss with that first kick, but was able to interrupt on the second one. As Jericho now goes for a pin here onto the champion Batista. The champion kicking out at 1 count before Hogan interrupts with that huge clothesline to Jericho. Pinfall now as the sledgehammer falls out of the ring. Batista stops that pinfall once again. We get a tie-up in the middle of the ring here between Jericho and Hulk Hogan. The pace slows down just slightly. It looks like Batista calling for a Batista bomb, but Hogan going for a pinfall instead. He whips Hogan into Jericho here as they bump into each other. As it looks like Jericho pulling Hogan to the center of the ring, going for a big suplex. And it looks like Batista trying to grab there, but it might be another backbreaker here by Jericho. Both men down on the mat. Jericho for a pinfall here. 1, 2. Only a 2 count as Hogan was still getting up. That was his chance. He had both men down. He had the champ down with Hogan out as well, but not quite damaged enough is Batista to go for a 3 count. A baseball bat, a favorite of Sting. As we see Hogan now and Batista both sent into the ropes as Jericho now doing a classic move there, trying to choke out Mr. Hulk Hogan a little bit as we see a Batista bomb coming in from Batista, slamming him right on that map, that sit-out powerbomb, as he might look for a pin here, but Hogan with a headlock, gonna go for a classic scoop slam, slamming Batista right next to him. Hogan go for the pin. Jericho's out right now. Go for the pin. This is your shot. But instead, he's going to go for a couple of big shots to the side of the head of Batista. Now he goes for the pin as Jericho makes his way up and interrupts. Hogan had his shot, but he did not take it. A light kick to the side of the head brings Batista down to the mat as Jericho now going to whip Batista into that corner. Huge clothesline from Jericho as Jericho looks to go for another weapon here. That's those steel steps once again. Pushing over those steel steps. He goes underneath the ring here. Nice elbow to the knee by Hogan. Hogan also going to the outside. Jericho not quite happy with what he found in underneath that ring. Gonna look again as now Hogan brings the ladder back into the middle of the ring. That ladder that did so much damage to him earlier in this matchup. Jericho gonna go for the steel steps here. And Hogan coming back to the outside and going back in, playing games with Batista, the champion. As now Hogan stealing those steel steps, gonna attack Jericho, the man who actually brought them back in. Batista with a steel chair coming in from underneath the mat here. Weapons now littering the ring as we get a big clothesline from Batista. Hogan undoubtedly gonna interrupt that pin. Yes. Hogan now with a headlock applied, countered by Batista as he sends Hogan down to the mat. Big steel steps, grabbed by Batista. Gonna get countered and grabbed by Chris Jericho. The Jericho now gonna be countered once again, and Batista grabbing the steel stairs away as they both bump into each other. Nice takedown, as I believe the head of Jericho was rubbing against those steel steps. A big shot, and it looks like another gorilla press slam by Batista to Hulk Hogan as Batista goes for a pin here. Interrupted by Jericho very quickly. Jericho wants a shot at this championship as Batista gets taken down to the mat now by that beautiful dropkick. As a one-armed pin by Hulk Hogan tries to steal it away, Batista quickly kicking out of that. You got these steel steps, the baseball bat, and that steel chair in the center of the ring, all waiting to be used by these competitors. Big baseball bat used by Jericho, wailing on Batista, just throwing it against him. Headlock applied by Hogan as he takes Jericho down, back down onto the mat, slamming him down. Batista going for a pin on Hogan. Only a 1 count. For just that one moment that he was down on the mat for that leg sweep, Batista had both men down on the mat and tried to take the pin away from Hulk Hogan. Sidewalk backbreaker here by Jericho. Batista not finding anything that he wants. There's quite a lot of weapons strewn about this ring. Jericho looking for a cheap shot on Batista, but Batista countering. Headlock applied. He's now going to do a nice belly-to-belly to Chris Jericho in the center of this ring. Running DDT by Hogan. He's got both men down on the mat. He could go for a pin now. Jericho slowly getting his way up as Hogan goes for a pinfall here. Only 1 count as the animal Batista kicks out. Looks like another crossways chicken ring into a leg sweep here, taking down Hulk Hogan as Jericho goes for a pinfall here. Only 1 count as Batista then interrupts. Counter here by Jericho. Ooh, a sharp elbow to that knee of Batista. Definitely gonna hurt as you see a headlock applied, but counter there as Jericho now going for a powerbomb. It looks like these consecutive powerbombs here once again from Jericho to Hulk Hogan, slamming him down on the mat as he goes for a pinfall here. Batista, the champion, interrupts. Big shot to the face to Batista. Jericho as he goes for a lion tamer onto Batista. Hogan is looking on. Will he interrupt right away? It looks like he does. He's able to interrupt, but that damage has been done at least a bit to Batista as Hogan goes for a pinfall and is interrupted by Jericho here. It is anyone's game here. Any one man, if he gets the right opportunity, could win this matchup if both men are down on the mat. If the man he chooses to pin is a bit too tired. If someone is distracted on the outside looking for a weapon while they steal a pin, any of these men could be your winner. Looks like an atomic drop, but countered into a schoolboy here as he goes for a pinfall onto Hogan. Batista interrupting at that 2 count. Batista now looking at Jericho, grinding his face about it. Nice spear in the corner by Batista here, and mudhole stomps, but only 1 as Hogan interrupts this. Jericho now pushed up, double shoulder block by Hogan. Hogan go for a pin on Batista, both men down. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Hulk Hogan, with that double shoulder block, sending Chris Jericho into that steel chair. You've got these consecutive powerbomb attempts by Jericho as he went for the pin there, but Batista was always watching. Jericho went to the outside quite a bit for weapons, but Batista never quite got their timing right on the attempted steel pinfall. Now Hogan here, targeting Batista as he goes for a nice takedown here. These men tied up in the ring constantly, all three of them switching opponents, trying to steal pins from each other here like Jericho. But this double shoulder block to take both men down, sending Jericho into the steel steps. Batista, already tired, wins Hogan the day. Your winner and new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. His second time holding the championship